We're revealing 15 of the largest engines ever installed in cars. Brace yourself for engines so big they almost don't fit in the car. You'll see straight 8s, W12s, V16s, and even a monstrous fighter plane-inspired 47-liter beast. Let's dive in. Starting with one of the most breathtaking vehicles ever made, the Hispano-Suiza J12. Imagine cruising in a car that doesn't just turn heads, it demands attention the moment its engine roars to life. This iconic luxury car, produced between 1931 and 1938, comes packed with a V12 engine that's as massive as it is powerful. Starting off with a 9.4-liter engine producing 220 horsepower and 355 pound-feet of torque, it was already a marvel of its time, but it didn't stop there. By the later years, the engine was upgraded to an 11.3-liter V12, pushing power to 250 horsepower and 400 pound-feet of torque. This was no ordinary engine. The block was meticulously machined from a 700-pound billet, showing just how serious they were about performance. And the best part? The J12 was sold as a chassis so every owner could commission a custom coach builder to create a unique body. It wasn't just a car, it was a masterpiece that combined raw power and elegance, making the Hispano-Suiza J12 one of the most sought-after vehicles in the golden age of motoring. Now we're talking. The Bugatti Royale isn't just a car, it's a statement of luxury, power, and engineering genius. Buckle up, because this beast takes opulence to a whole new level. The Bugatti Royale, also known as the Type 41, redefined luxury in the 1920s. It came with a monstrous 12.7-liter straight-8 engine, producing an impressive 300 horsepower and a massive 875 pound-feet of torque. This engine was originally designed for aircraft, so yeah, it's basically an airplane engine in a car. Weighing around 7,000 pounds and stretching over 21 feet, this car wasn't just a machine, it was an icon. Out of the 7 built, only 3 were ever sold, so if you're lucky enough to spot one, don't expect to find many others cruising by. With its custom bodywork and elephant-shaped radiator cap, the Royale was a literal giant on the road. Even in the Great Depression, it stood as a symbol of opulence, still turning heads today. When power meets luxury, you get the Peerless Model 60. And trust me, it doesn't just meet expectations, it obliterates them. Produced in the early 1910s, the Peerless Model 60 came with a 13.5-liter straight-6 engine that could produce a hefty 60 horsepower, a huge output for its time. With a bore of 5 inches and a stroke of 7 inches, it was a marvel of early automotive engineering. This car was built to compete with the likes of Pierce Arrow, and it did so with a level of craftsmanship and refinement that was hard to match. Known for its luxuriant engineering excellence, Peerless made sure the Model 60 could dominate any terrain. While it may not be as well remembered today, the Model 60 was a true giant of its era. It remains a highly collectible treasure for vintage car enthusiasts who know how special it really was. If you thought the Peerless Model 60 was big, just wait until you feast your eyes on the Pierce Arrow Model 66. Bigger, faster, and with a whole lot more prestige. The Pierce Arrow Model 66, produced from 1910 to 1918, was an absolute powerhouse. Featuring a 13.5-liter inline-6 engine, this beast, with its 5-inch bore and 7-inch stroke, packed a punch of up to 140 horsepower in later models. We're talking about one of the largest engines ever put in a production car. This thing wasn't just big, it was a giant. Weighing over 7,000 pounds, it demanded real muscle to drive. With its variety of body styles, including a 7-passenger tour and a broom, the Pierce Arrow was made for the elite. It was a car that screamed wealth and status. Engineered for those who wanted more than just a car, they wanted a statement. Whether cruising on the streets or flexing in the race against time, this car delivered luxury and power without breaking a sweat. Talk about a ride that would make your neighbors jealous. Have you ever wondered what it would be like to drive a car that could challenge the laws of physics? Well, the Cadillac 16 might have just been that car. This concept from 2003 was nothing short of a futuristic marvel. Under its sleek hood, it packed a 13.6-liter V16 engine, churning out an eye-watering 1,000 horsepower and a spine-tingling 1,000 pound-feet of torque. To put it simply, this car was a beast. But wait, it didn't stop there. It also boasted a 4-speed automatic transmission and cutting-edge technology like displacement on demand, allowing the car to switch between 4, 8, or 16 cylinders depending on the driving conditions. It was all about balancing raw power with efficiency. Sadly, despite the mind-blowing specs, the Cadillac 16 never made it into production. But hey, it'll forever be a legend in automotive history, showcasing Cadillac's attempt to revolutionize performance and luxury with a 13.6-liter V16 that was ahead of its time. Hold on to your hats because the 1924 Chitty 3 is about to blow your mind. This open-wheeled racing machine was a true monster of its time, built by the legendary Count Louis Borowski. Powered by an 18.1-liter Mercedes 6-cylinder Aero engine, it delivered a jaw-dropping 180 horsepower and 738 pound-feet of torque. Racing at speeds of up to 112 miles per hour at the Brooklands track, this beast proved that sometimes size does matter, especially when you're gunning for greatness. In a short amount of time, the Chitty 3 became a symbol of power and innovation, setting the stage for bold engineering feats in the years that followed. And let's face it, with an 18.1-liter engine under the hood, who needs longevity when you're making a legendary mark on the world of racing? This car was the definition of go big or go home. Have you ever wondered what it would be like to drive a car so powerful that it could make everyone else on the track look like they were parked? Buckle up, because the 1922 Chitty 2 isn't just a car. It's a fire-breathing, roaring machine that would have had jaws dropping back in its day. Powered by a mind-boggling 18.8-liter Benz BZ4 aircraft engine, this beast cranked out a modest 230 horsepower. Sure, that sounds like a joke today, but back in 1922, pure insanity. And guess what? It could top 113 miles an hour, which was unheard of for a car built more than 100 years ago. Racing success? Well, it didn't dominate like some of its competitors, but who needs trophies when you got the sheer power to make everything else on the track look like it's standing still? The Chitty 2 was more about making an entrance than crossing the finish line. With its massive engine and ridiculous speed, it was built to intimidate, and trust me, it did. In 1909, the world was introduced to a car that could only be described as a missile on wheels, the Blitzen-Benz. This wasn't just a car, it was a land speed monster with a jaw-dropping 21.5-liter inline-4 engine that belted out 200 horsepower. Sure, today we have cars with more power in their turbos than this whole engine, but back then, this was pure unadulterated lunacy. With a top speed of 124 miles per hour, yes, you read that right, 124 miles per hour in 1909, it was so fast that people seriously thought it was too dangerous to drive. But did that stop it? Absolutely not. In 1910, the Blitzen-Benz shattered the world land speed record, proving that when you throw caution and common sense to the wind, amazing things happen. The Blitzen-Benz wasn't just an engineering marvel, it was a vision of the future, with dual-chain drive and aerodynamics that were decades ahead of its time. If the Chitty 2 was insane, then the Chitty 1 was an absolute monster. Built about a year earlier, this beast roared to life with a 23.1-liter V12 engine that churned out 690 horsepower and a staggering 1,364 pound-feet of torque. And no, that's not a typo. This car produced more torque than modern-day Bugattis, and it was made in 1921. Can you even wrap your head around that? We're talking raw, untamed power that made this car an unstoppable force on the track. At a solid 4,850 pounds, the Chitty 1 wasn't exactly light on its feet, but that didn't stop it from leaving rivals in the dust. This car was all about brute force. It didn't need finesse, just pure, unadulterated power. And when it came to racing, it was nothing short of terrifying. The Chitty 1 wasn't just a car, it was a mechanical monster that made every competitor look like they were stuck in slow motion. And trust me, it didn't need to break records to leave its mark. It was a legend in its own right. Fast forward to 1933, and we get one of the most legendary British racers ever, the Napier Railton. This wasn't just any car, it was a war machine on wheels, built not just for speed, but to dominate every single car on the track. Under its sleek exterior, the Napier Railton packed a 24-liter W12 Aero engine, a true monster of an engine. This beast churned out 600 horsepower, which might seem modest by modern standards, but back then it was pure madness. Fuel efficiency? Yeah, that really wasn't a priority, as it burned through 5 miles per gallon like it was a casual Sunday drive. But this car wasn't just about sipping fuel, it was about record-breaking performance. It set an all-time lap record of 143 miles per hour at the legendary Brooklands track, and that record still stands today. Talk about making a statement. With its giant Napier engine, the Napier Railton wasn't just fast, it was a legend cemented in racing history. You know an engine's serious when even Jay Leno says it feels like the hand of God is pushing you, and when that hand belongs to a 27-liter Rolls-Royce Merlin V12, you know you're in for something truly ridiculous. This isn't just any engine, it was designed for World War II fighter planes. But Jay Leno, being the mad genius that he is, decided it would make a fantastic addition to his 1934 Rolls-Royce. And boy, was he right. With 1,000 horsepower and 1,750 pound-feet of torque, this car's basically the automotive equivalent of an atomic bomb. It's so powerful, it needed a 6-speed manual from a Cummins truck just to handle the sheer torque. Seriously, this thing eats torque for breakfast. And with a 60-gallon fuel tank, it's thirsty enough to drain a gas station in minutes. And yet, Jay cruises around in it like it's just another Sunday drive. Legend. We're back to the Chitty Bang Bang series, and this time it's Chitty 4, also known as the Higgins Special. And trust me, this thing was no joke. Packed with a 27-liter Liberty V12 Aero engine, this beast was spitting out a respectable 450 horsepower, powered by a chain drive system swiped from the legendary Blitzen Benz. Yeah, because why not? If you're gonna break records, you might as well do it in style. But it didn't stop there. The noise this thing made was so outrageous that Brooklands, the British racing circuit, had to ban it from the city. That's right, too loud. Can you imagine that? A car so loud it's breaking the rules of sound. In 1926, Chitty 4 set a land speed record of 171 miles an hour, which back then probably felt like breaking the sound barrier. This wasn't just a car, it was an absolute rule breaker, making history while giving a big middle finger to quiet rides. If you saw John Dodds' The Beast on the road, you'd probably think it was a jet engine on wheels, because, well, that's basically what it is. And if you thought the name was a bit much, think again. Packed with a monstrous 27-liter Rolls-Royce Merlin V12, this 19-foot-long beast churned out an eye-watering 750 horsepower and 760 pound-feet of torque. That's not a car, that's a rocket in disguise. Dodd didn't just build a car, he built the most absurd car ever, and nothing was off limits. So when Rolls-Royce sued him for using their iconic grille, what did Dodd do? Oh, just drive the beast straight to court and parked it right outside. Yeah, I guess when your car is more powerful than most fighter jets, you don't exactly care about copyright issues. At one point, the Beast held the title of the most powerful car in the world, hitting 183 miles per hour, and at that speed, it was less driving and more launching into the atmosphere. If you think a Fiat doesn't sound terrifying, you've clearly never met the Beast of Turin. Built in 1910, this machine redefined what it meant to be a powerhouse. With a 28.4-liter inline-4, yes, 4 cylinders, each one was about the size of a small car's engine, this beast cranked out a jaw-dropping 290 horsepower. Let's break that down. 4 cylinders, 28.4 liters, and enough horsepower to send a modern-day supercar into therapy. This wasn't just a car, this was an event. It could hit 132 miles per hour, which for its time was something out of a science fiction movie. But forget speed for a second. The real spectacle was the sound. When this beast fired up, it wasn't a purr, it was like a bomb going off, earth-shaking, ear-piercing, and absolutely terrifying. Even today, this car still makes the fastest hypercars look like they're cruising in the slow lane. It's pure unadulterated chaos on wheels, and somehow that makes it one of the most legendary cars to ever roll onto the track. And now, the granddaddy of them all, the Brutus. Buckle up, because this car isn't just a ride, it's an experience that'll make your heart race and your sanity question reality. Powered by a 47-liter BMW V12 aircraft engine, this monstrous beast churns out 550 horsepower at just 1,530 RPM. That's right, 47 liters. It's like strapping an entire ocean to a chassis and hoping it doesn't drown you in raw, untamed power. But here's where it gets even crazier. The driver sits right behind the exposed flywheel. So imagine feeling every bit of heat, every violent vibration, and the chaos this engine generates as it roars to life. It's basically like strapping yourself to a bomb, and yet you can't help but love it. Top speed, over 125 miles per hour. That's faster than most cars can even dream of, and Brutus makes it feel like a walk in the park. This isn't just a car, it's a legend. There you have it. Which one made your jaw drop? Drop a comment below, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button for more wild automotive insanity.